Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, where we provide world-class entertainment, education, hope, and inspiration. Our show today is Authentic Achievements. I'm Dr. JACALYN KERBECK, and I'm super excited to welcome you here today. Our topic is something that I know I personally have struggled with. It's imposter syndrome. Is it a real thing? Ooh, I don't know, but somebody here does know. She is an expert in this area, as well as many other fields. Let's welcome the star of our show. Joining us from London, it's Kim-Adele Randall. Hello, how are you?
I'm good, Dr. JACALYN. How are you?
Doing well, thanks. So nice to see you today. You're looking very bright and cheery.
Thank you. So are you. I love that color on you.
Thank you. I just got this, by the way. It's a color that I normally wouldn't wear.
Suits you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, Kim-Adele, we're going to be talking about imposter syndrome. But before we do that, as you know, we always have new people joining us from across the world. I'd love for you to tell us a little bit about your background and what is Authentic Achievements.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. My background, for those who've listened before, is a little bit varied. So I started as a hairdresser. I moved into corporate world, spent the next 20 years there, and I've spent the last 10 years doing transformational change. And I'm a qualified coach, face whisperer, which freaks people out, so I can read people's emotions. And I also happen to be one of the co-founders for International Imposter Syndrome Awareness Day, which we launched, it's coming up for its 4th year, to really help provide the support and the resources to help people overcome this, having been a sufferer myself. And Authentic Achievements is really a similar thing. It's about finding that opportunity to share with each other the stories that help us to get out there and create our authentic achievement, whatever that is for us.
Fantastic, fantastic. Thank you so much. So, Authentic achievements, what comes to mind for me is that many times we accomplish something and it's really amazing. Yet we don't feel like we deserve it. After we do it, we're like, oh, it wasn't good enough, or that was luck, or something. We make excuses. Why do we do this?
It's really funny. We do. It's a little bit like when somebody gives you a compliment. Somebody says, oh, that looks really lovely. And we can't just go, thank you. We immediately have to downplay it. We immediately have to go, oh, thanks. This was it was old, or it was new. It was a something, but we can't just get to that piece that says thank you. And I think a lot of that is because we have been preconditioned to spend more time worrying about things that can go wrong than hoping that things can go right. And as you know from previous conversations, that was the whole point of my TED talk, which is that actually what we're hopeful for and what we're fearful of are created in the same brain, but it's where we put our focus. And unfortunately, I think as a society, we're predisposed to focus on the thing we're fearful of.
I agree with you, definitely. You know, you had mentioned about being a hairdresser, and we've spoken about this before. When I think about the times I've gone to a hairdresser, I've confided a lot of things into a hairdresser. It's people who are providing service. We almost look at them as though they're a therapist or a counselor, and that's a really important role. not only are you doing someone's hair, but you're listening to them, you're giving them a safe space to share what it is. And I feel badly sometimes for the endless droning on and on that I've done with people who are in the service business, because they're providing a service and they're still at the same time, they have to hear all of your issues that are going on. But the point is that as a hairdresser, you are really sort of like a trusted soul, somebody that person is bearing their soul to. So that's important, isn't it?
It is. It's so true. And as you so eloquently do with the listening mentor, it's about really providing that safe space to listen to people. And people have literally told me all sorts of things. And sometimes that could be really uncomfortable if you were the hairdresser for the whole family, as an example, because you'd get to know things that you really didn't want to be involved in, and then have to kind of front those out. But it was still about providing that trusted space. And I think, for me, I'm a big believer that as human beings, what we really want in life is to be listened to, understood, and respected. And that doesn't mean to say that we want people to agree with us all the time, but we want to be respected, to have our opinion. So it's okay to disagree, but not to disrespect. And people that go into the service industry, in the main, and there's exceptions to every rule, from the people that I've met, they're interested in people. That's why they go into service. So actually, what you see as being the endless droning on of your life is new to us, because actually it's different. It's not our life. It's not what's happening to us. So it's interesting to learn your story.
Yes, it absolutely is. And just a quick story that I want to share. You've heard it before, but when I was a makeup artist, I've always had some kind of side gig. This woman would come in every Monday, and she had this kind of attitude, the way she would carry herself. She would buy 2 products at one counter, and then she'd come back later in the week and return the products. And the girls on the floor were all annoyed because nobody likes to have returns, but it was just this kind of indignant attitude that she had. And so it turned out that she came to my counter, and she was always buying red lipstick and green eyeshadow, which are not a great combination, folks. If you're out there with these 2 things, the green and the red, it's not great because it draws attention. People don't know where to look. Do they look at the bright green or the red? So anyway, I took the products back and I asked her what the goal was that she was trying to achieve. And she gave me kind of like a really snotty answer. And I thought, this is a person who's in pain. And as we got down to it, I asked her more questions, and I showed her just kindness. She told me she thought that her husband was cheating on her and that she was doing whatever she could to get his attention. And so she said she felt like an imposter in her own life. And I know that whether you have the green eyeshadow or the red lipstick or not, we can feel like an imposter in our own lives, but it doesn't come across that way. It can come across in different ways, and our partner or family, they don't know how to take it in. So can you share with our audience, what are some of the behavior traits that somebody might be demonstrating if they feel like they are an imposter?
Oh, there's so many, and it really can depend on where they are. I'm really regretting now that you spotlighted me that I've got green eyeliner on and red lipstick, but I'm going to not let that distract me.
No. Kim-Adele, let me just clarify. I'm sorry, you can't see. I'm talking about bright green. That's kind of.
I'm really regretting my eye makeup choice.
No, you don't. You don't have that on right now. Whatever you have on, that's not the look that is coming across. It's sort of like when a person has stage makeup on.
Yeah. I know what you mean. It just made me smile. That I was like, of all the days.
Not you, my dear.
But I think immediately we jump to those things where you very often. I know when I was in the deepest throes of my imposter syndrome, I thought I was hiding it really well, and I wasn't. And on my personal style, and I remember somebody introducing me. I was there to do a speech to a conference, and the guy introduced me as the leader who he had seen make self-depreciation an art form. And I was like, I had to chat to him about it afterwards. He went, "You put yourself down all the time." He said, "And yet actually you're really good at what you do." And I think a lot of that was, sometimes that's how you'll see people that constantly push back the praise or the thanks. They can't hold on to it. They'll dismiss it immediately. even if it's something like, oh, this, you know, I've had it forever, it was a fiver, or you win an award and it's like, oh, I think they were just being kind, or maybe they just needed enough women to have got the awards this year. So I was I was in those mixes. So you'll see people that just can't hold the compliment. Equally, I think what I've also seen demonstrated is the opposite of that, of people that are actually put on the pretense that they are overconfident as a way of almost putting up a barrier. I was talking to somebody earlier this week who their personal persona that they put on was just to be a joker. So nothing, you know, everything was all about the jokes. It was about being, you know, it was about being the funny guy. And actually that was to mask his feelings of being an imposter at the time. So it can be any behavior that you just think, okay, that's either extremely loud or extremely quiet. I think for me, one of the things that I've learned is be really curious. I mean, I love your story about the fact you took the time to ask the questions, to connect with the person. And over the years, I've got on trains and you've seen people that you know are going to have a really bad day. You can just see it in them. And it's probably a really awful trait of mine. I think I can't leave you like that because that's awful. You're definitely going to have a bad day. And so I'll ask a question. I'll ask them a question. I'll try and engage in something to understand what it is, because usually you can then help them have a better day. Because by asking them a question and getting interested in them and something that's about them, it gives them an opportunity to open up and share their fear.
I love what you shared there. And I just want to unpack some of the things that you said. First of all, about compliments. And I struggle with this. If someone gives me a compliment, I feel like I have to give some answer. That's a really nice dress. Like you just said, oh, this old thing, or I've had, like, there's always some stupid comment that I have to make instead of just saying thank you. Because when you say thank you, then there's dead air. Where do you go from there next?
But I think, you know, I get that, and that's the piece that we're most nervous of. But if you look at it from the other side, and that's a large part of what we need to do in imposter syndrome, is look at it from the other side. So imagine that you have, because when we give somebody feedback, we step a little bit out of our comfort zone, because even if we're saying something nice, we don't know if they're going to take it well or not take it well, particularly if we give this feedback to somebody we don't know. So, you know, I went up to a lady the other day in the supermarket, and she did look a little startled when I said, excuse me. And she kind of looked up from what she was doing. I said, I hope you don't mind. I just wanted to say your hair looks absolutely beautiful. And she like beamed and she did just say thank you. And I wandered off, and a bit later on, we bumped into each other again on another aisle. And she said, thank you so much. You made my day. And I was like, so did you. Lovely hair. Have a great weekend. And moved on. It was just an interaction. And I looked at it as being the giver of that feedback. I felt great that she just said thank you, because it was like my gift had been accepted. And yet, had she come back and dismissed it, it would have felt a little bit like, okay, I went right out of my comfort zone. I went up to somebody I didn't know, and I gave them this feedback. And I try and describe it to myself now to help me do this, is imagine that the person that's giving you that compliment is handing you the most delicate, most precious, fragile glass ornament that you can imagine. And if you dismiss it, if you go, this old thing, it's like you got that bauble and you just opened your hands. You would never do that with the glass ornament. Why would we do it with the fact that somebody stepped themselves into a place of vulnerability to offer their opinion? Because actually it's their opinion that we're justifying, not our opinion of what happens to it.
Kim-Adele, it sounds like what you're saying is that we have to honor that person and that feedback that they shared, because that's a gift that they're giving to us.
Yeah, absolutely. And because, and again, this is a typical sign of when we're going into imposter syndrome, is we suddenly feel uncomfortable because it's about us. It's not about us at all. It's their opinion. So actually all we're doing is responding to their opinion. So if their opinion is that it's lovely, it's like, oh, thanks, glad you like it. They don't need to know anymore. You're not therefore being big-headed and going, oh, isn't this amazing? You're just acknowledging that their opinion is one that made you smile.
Very true. I'm going to share a little insight about how I feel. So let's say you said to me, I really like this dress that I'm wearing. And I'm thinking to myself, I feel very fat in this dress. So then I'm thinking, does she really think I look good in this dress, or she secretly think that I look fat in the dress, but she's trying to make me feel better because I do look fat in the dress? Do you see how twisted that is?
Yeah, honestly, what goes on in my head half the time, Dr. JACALYN, should just stay in there. And I sometimes will say to people, today my head is a shed. It's like, we all know what our shed looks like. You can't find a thing in it. So
I love that.
The amount of like back going conversation that there is. But then I think to myself, okay, if I see a friend who doesn't look good in their dress, will I tell them they look good in it? No. I'll find something else about them that is good and I'll compliment that. Because the minute I give them a compliment that's not genuine, then actually it's not a compliment. So why do I think anybody else is going to go and compliment me on things that they think are actually, sorry, fly came in there, that they think are not looking nice? So I think, if sometimes we look at it from, okay, what would we do in this situation? So if I were with my friends and they'd got a dress and it made them look a little bit chubby, then I'm not going to go, oh, that dress looks lovely. Instead, I might say, oh, you would look really well today. Your hair looks great. There'll be something else that I can do that is genuine within that space. So I certainly wouldn't go through the thought process, and I don't think, Dr. JACALYN, you would either, that goes, oh my goodness, why have they worn that? That's horrendous. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to compliment Monica because that's going to distract them. Because if it doesn't look good on somebody, they probably feel uncomfortable in it anyway, so you wouldn't draw attention to it.
Yes, excellent points. Thank you. So just to extrapolate from where we are, so if I said to you, Kim-Adele, what do you think of this dress? How do you think it looks on me? Would you say, well, I've seen other dresses that look a little nicer or that are more flattering, or what would you say? Because the answer could mean whether you're acting as an imposter by not giving the truth.
Yeah. I guess for me, I would go, that's an interesting question. How's the dress making you feel to make you ask that? Because actually, when somebody asks me what I think about a dress, it's usually because they're not really liking it. And because if somebody loves the dress they've got and they want feedback on it, they'll go off. You see it in their face, you see it in their expression, in that emotion. And I guess it's easy for me to say, being a face whisperer, that what you see is the flash of emotion beforehand, which would, if someone's living it, the flash will be joy, because I'm already living it. I feel great in this. I'm probably not going to ask somebody what they think of the dress if I feel good in it, because it wouldn't cross my mind that there might be a problem with it. When I don't feel good in it, I'll go and ask for that opinion. And therefore, what I will often do now to make it easier for the other person is go, oh, it's dress and I'm really feeling very comfortable in it. Could you give me your thoughts? And that gives them a safe space for them to go, okay, I've seen ones that actually you look better in because you look more comfortable in them. Because how we feel in the things we wear also shows up in how they look. Because if we look, we'll all have seen it where somebody's worn something that, we would go, oh, I couldn't possibly wear that. That's far too tight, and I'd feel far too chubby. And yet you might be the similar size. They look good in it because they love it, and therefore they exude that confidence in it. You could have the same, somebody else wear the same thing and not look good in it because they know it doesn't feel comfortable. And I think for me, they're the most important things, is that we look at how we're feeling and understand why that's driving what we're thinking.
Yes, absolutely. Two things come to mind. One is I might say, Kim Adele, I just got this new dress and I want to let you know it absolutely looks horrible on me. Okay, I'm just putting it out there. It's too late for me to get changed. So you're probably thinking it looks horrible. And I want to let you know it's okay for you to think that because I already know that.
Yeah. And I think the thing is, I mean, it won't ever look as horrible as you think. It won't. So then actually what the other person will say is, well, yeah, the colour's really, really great. What bits are making you think that you really don't like it? Because sometimes as well, you've just got a totally different vantage point. Now, if we take it as an example, when I was given my first coach, and I was head of sales at Sage at the time, and I was convinced I'd been given this coach because I was hopeless, and I didn't know how to do my job, and that they were basically, trying to just give me a little bit of a hand before I had to leave. And I remember sitting with him, and one of the things he asked me to do, and I highly recommend it to anybody that is currently suffering with those feelings that they're not good enough, that that they shouldn't be where they are, they shouldn't have what they've been given. He asked me to go and speak to friends, family, colleagues, and people that I knew would give me honest feedback and say, as part of my development, I'd really like if you could just provide me with one or two things that you see as my strengths, that you think I'm renowned for, and one or two things where I get in my own way. And what came back was, well, I didn't understand it, to be fair. Almost unanimously across these people that I spoke to, they saw brave and fearless. And as a woman who lived in fear every single day, fear that I would be found out, that I shouldn't be there, fear that everything that came out of my mouth would be more stupid than the previous thing that'd fallen out of my mouth. Fear, it didn't matter. I could be, seriously, I could be fearful of everything. I was like, fearless and brave, you're going to have to explain it to me. And they saw the fact that I had up sticks and moved around the country and and out of the country for jobs that I didn't think I could do, to places where I didn't know anybody, and they saw that as brave and fearless. I saw the exact same. I saw the same situation, same person, same reality. I looked at it and thought that everybody thought that I was flighty and a little bit stupid. So actually, sometimes we have to recognise that we're not actually the best observer of who we are. The people observing us are a better reflection of actually what we look like.
I love the way that you looked at that from a different perspective. And something else I think, especially for women in business, you and I both have our own businesses, and it's not an easy road. It's one that involves a lot of concentration, dedication, fortitude, persistence. But something that's come up for me during this journey is there have been various times when I felt like I made a major inroad in where I wanted to go. And somebody would come from the sidelines and kind of just insult me for no reason. And then I had to rethink, am I really on the path that I want to be on, or am I just an imposter in my own mind and then later, like I literally would like take a step back and take some deep breaths and look at it as an eagle flying over, as opposed to being the ostrich with the head in the sand. And as the eagle, I would think to myself, oh no, I'm on the right path. I don't know what's up with that person. I don't know what's coming up for them, why they felt like they had to give me that unsolicited feedback. But I think it's also a matter of believing in yourself and having that confidence to know that you are going in the right direction. What do you think?
No, I agree. I think sometimes it's also asking ourselves if that person is someone that's opinion we actually think is valid. One of the things that I say to everybody that I speak to, that I talk to about imposter syndrome, and it's amazing how often it comes up in it, and how many of us feel it at some point, is my number one piece of advice is get yourself a Thrive Hive. And a Thrive Hive is 4 or 5 people that you trust will have you back. They'll be honest with you, and they'll have your best interests at heart, because we all have those moments where we doubt. We all have those moments where something like that will have happened, and sometimes we can self-soothe. Sometimes we need somebody else to help us to see things from a different perspective. And we live in a world of polarity. So for every up, there's a down. For every left, there's a right. So whatever we're thinking, the exact opposite is also true. And all we need is someone to help us see that 360 and then decide what we do with it. And in your Thrive Hive, you want people that are going to be a little bit different. So as an example, in mine, I've got the person that's going to give me the kick in the pants and just say, get over yourself and get out there. Stop wallowing, stop procrastinating, and just get on and do it. But sometimes I'm not quite ready for the kick in the pants just yet. So I've also got the person who'll be really honest with me, but they'll do it more in pity and sympathy and guide me kindly to that space. I need both, because sometimes, if I constantly had to go with the person that was going to do it gently, it might be too late for what it is that I need to do. So finding those people that have got you back, that you can call on and do those things. And I don't know if it resonates, Dr. JACALYN, with you or hopefully with the people listening and watching, but have you ever had that moment where you've been saying something to yourself in your head for ages and it feels real and it's so plausible, but the minute you sit in front of somebody else and you hear the words come out of your mouth, same words that you've been running around in your head for ages, and you have that moment where you're like, do you know what, actually, you don't need to answer that, because I've just heard for myself how ridiculous that is. So on this occasion, actually, you've done your job already. I just needed to be able to get it out of my head and into the putting it out there in front of somebody else. So making sure that we have those people around us is invaluable, because when we are feeling like an imposter, the person whose opinion we can't trust is ours.
Yes, brilliant. I love that. By the way, we do have a comment from someone who gave us a very nice compliment, but he doesn't speak English. So thank you so much for being with us, Salcam. We appreciate you. I love the idea of a Thrive Hive. Is that it? Thrive Hive. Yeah, I don't have one of those. My hive is empty. But something that has come up for me also in terms of imposter syndrome, and I imagine that this is not something that's just unique to me when you're looking to expand your body of work. So I love to sing. I have a vocal coach. I've written 2 songs, and I've had people write songs for me, and I haven't moved forward with getting them recorded. I even bought this software to do my own mixing and mastering. And I realized, because in the past, I've been told by someone I dated that I should stop singing. I don't have a good voice. This person's family member has a really good voice and mine isn't. And I can't get that out of my head. So I feel like even though I've done the work, I've taken the lessons, and I love to just let it out, the passion that I have for singing, that I'm not good enough. So something decades ago is still there. And I know that we struggle with that one offhanded comment that somebody gave to us. Why are they the judge and jury? Why are we putting our faith and confidence in their opinion when other people are saying, no, this is something you can do?
I think it comes down to the fact that they are reflecting back to us our greatest fear. It's the thing we're most fearful of. And when somebody plays that back to you, it's as if they've got in your head and they've found your diary. The bit that you locked away that you hope nobody knew. When we're feeling that imposter syndrome, your greatest fear is of being found out. So when someone plays back that fear to you, it's as if they found you out. And therefore, it doesn't matter how many people tell you you're good at it. It doesn't matter how many other people externally bring it in. The reason you go back to that person and we make it externally about them is because deep down, that's still our personal greatest fear. So it's not them we need to let go of. It's us. It's us clinging to that fear because it's validated our greatest fear. And actually, I was talking to somebody just this week, and they were in a place where they were really facing a bit of an imposter. And I said, okay, I got this for myself. And for me, I remember at one point, and I thought I was hopeless. I'd just been given this big award, and I managed to dismiss all of it. And then I realised inadvertently I was making my opinion that I was hopeless more valid than people that I admired and I aspired to be like. And I thought, well, that doesn't make any sense because I admire them. I aspire to be like them. So how rude of me to think my opinion of me is better than theirs. And it got me into the other part that says, you know, when people tell us we're good at something, or when people give us an opportunity. So if somebody gives you the opportunity to go on go on the stage and speak, and I do that quite a bit, and I kind of in the background go, oh my God, I'm hopeless at this, can't possibly do it. And then I remind myself how many people have had to be involved in the decision to put me on that stage. And as human beings, we don't want to look stupid. So if I put myself in their shoes, they've got a boss, they're running an event, it's got a purpose. If they think I'm going to absolutely bomb, they're not going to allow me to go on because they're going to look stupid. So instead of making it about me, I suddenly realized if I make it about them and go, well, hold on, what's the risk to them if I bomb? Well, the risk to them is they look stupid, they look incompetent at their job. Therefore, they're not going to willingly put me on a stage unless they believe I can do it. So I'm going to borrow their belief that I can do it, and I'm going to do the very best that I can, because that's going to give me the best opportunity of living up to their belief. And so I think sometimes what we've got to do is take it out of us feeling like everything sits on us. We're the only one that's moving it. People will not give us these opportunities if they don't think we can succeed. And you know, I chat to people and go, well, some people want to see you fail. Some people do, but not if it means they fail as well. So when you look at it like that, if your boss gives you a piece of work to do, they do it because they think you can do it. Because if not, they fail too in the eyes of their boss. So actually, when we look at it that way, maybe a peer might give us something to do because they want us to look stupid. But actually, if it's, you know, if somebody's paying you to do it, or somebody's giving you an opportunity, or somebody's got a boss that's involved in it, that is a genuine belief that you are not going to let them down.
Thanks for sharing those great points, Kim-Adele. That makes a lot of sense. What I'm taking away from our conversation today is that many times we become highly emotional, and those emotions can color the reality or what actually is taking place. Something that happened to me, I was out for a walk with my mother, ran into someone, and the person said, you know, I see what's going on Facebook, and I just want to ask you, what do you think, you're going to be famous one day? What do you think, you're going to be a celebrity? And I was like, whoa, where did that come from? And I immediately said to myself, that hurt, but I'm going to just take a breath and reframe it. And what I said was, no, I don't think that I'm going to be famous, and I don't think I'm going to be a celebrity. What I do think is that I'm giving people an opportunity to share their story in a safe space. And I'm not sure what's coming up for you that you're even bringing this up to me. So what's going on with you? And then it turns out the person had a lot of things going on with them, and they just decided to attack me for whatever reason. But if we take it personally, if we get all emotionally involved, I could have just insulted her. It could have been back and forth, back and forth. And it doesn't do anything. So if somebody's trying to call you out as being an imposter, I think it's a reflection of what's going on with them.
Yes, that is so true, because pity loves a party. So if we're feeling sorry for ourselves, if somebody else can feel a bit sorry for themselves too, then we're not alone. So you do see this quite often where people something's going on for them. They're not feeling their best, or they're lacking the confidence to go and put things out on Facebook, as an example. And when they see that you are, their frustration is with themselves for not taking the step. But actually, that can be really uncomfortable to have to hold yourself to that level of account. So it's easier to dismiss the desire to do it and go, well, I wouldn't want to be like that person. I'm going to call them out on it. But like you so eloquently put in your story, when we ask better questions, when we go, actually, that's not what I'm trying to do. What I'm trying to do is put the information out there for people to learn and to develop and to grow. And actually, do you know, it's really uncomfortable putting ourselves out there. We all feel it. You know, coming on and sharing what's going on in your world and what your thoughts are is an uncomfortable space to be, because people could dislike you, or they could make fun of you, or they could do any of these things. It could be true to all of us. But I always think, you know, if I can help just one person, just one, then it was worth taking the risk that everybody else could dislike me and everybody else could think that I think too much of myself, because I know what my purpose is. I know what my driver is, and my driver is to live a life of passionate curiosity and to pass things through the lens of, is it kind, is it honest, and does it add value? And that's how we work. So it's like, because I know that's where I'm coming from, if it impacts somebody in a different way, then I'll ask them better questions to go, that was never have been my intention, but I'm so sorry it's my impact. Please tell me, you know, what's going on for you, and how can I help? And as you so eloquently did with them, you give them a space to be vulnerable, because that's not what they're expecting.
Exactly. You can turn a situation around from antagonism to endearment, and you can actually be a great resource for that person, and they'll hopefully see within themselves what's going on and realize that they're being passive aggressive or attacking someone when really they're hurting inside.
Yeah.
So, Kim-Adele, fabulous points as always. Our show has flown by. I'm going to spotlight you. Please let our audience know anything that you have coming up. You have your own platform. How can people be on your platform to be interviewed? Anything you want to share today?
Perfect. It's been an absolute delight. So, as it always is, Dr. JACALYN, I always love our chats. If anybody's feeling that inner imposter, then please reach out. You either can get me directly at kim@kimadelerandall.com, or you could go to www.iisad.org, which is the International Imposter Syndrome Awareness Day website, which is packed with resources and all free resources to support you in just finding that way through. And if you've got a story you'd love to share, we would love to have you either on this show or on my podcast, which is also called Authentic Achievements. So again, please do just get in touch. We would love to hear. Oh, thank you, Dr. JACALYN. We would love to hear from you and see how we can help.
All right, there you go. KimAdeleRandall.com. Kim, can you please drop into the chat the other website that you referenced so we can put that out there for people?
Of course.
All right,
I don't think let me do it to everybody, so I'll drop it in for you.
Okay, thank you. All right, Kim-Adele, we look forward to seeing you again. When will you be back?
I think I'm back the first week in October.
Okay, fantastic. Well, take good care of yourself. By the way, our book is coming out. Do I have a visual on this? I hope I have a slide. Here I do. Tell us a little bit about the two animal characters that are near and dear to you on our new book, Lady Ella Listens in the Baobab National Game Park. This is part of our children's book series, The Amazing Adventures of Lady Ella, the Listening Mentor. All of the animals featured on our book covers represent real people who have taken the power of listening. So you are an elevated listener, and you decided to do a beautiful thing for two people, two entities, two family members you love very dearly. Tell us about it.
I did. So two of the characters in the book are actually representative of my little family. So one of them is Scarlett, who's my little girl, who is the lion. And the reason she's a lion is she has a little lion that follows her everywhere and has been her go-to teddy bear since birth, and gives her the courage to always get out there and try her best. And the other one is for my little furry son, which is Pudding, my little dog. And he's actually the giraffe in it. And the reason he's a giraffe is Scarlett's other favourite teddy bear is a giraffe called Riff Raff. So it was connecting my two little ones with two things that are really important in their life.
Thank you so much. And thanks for being part of this journey. The book comes out on September 21st. I have 3 books coming out this month, so I'm trying to remember. I think it's September 21st. You can go and pre-order it now. And I have to say, this book has been an Amazon #1 new release on pre-order at least 10 times so far. So it's not even out, and it's already got that kind of popularity. So thank you, everyone, for that. All right, we are signing off right now. Our next show is coming up. It's The Power of Etiquette and Manners with Philip Sykes, joining us from the British School of Excellence, and our special guest, Mr. Hyatt Ives. We'll be back shortly. Bye, everyone.
Bye, take care.